2 weeks from tomorrow, voters in Maine will head to the polls for the primary election.
U.S. Senate candidate Graham Plattner and gubernatorial candidate Troy Jackson will be campaigning later today at a rally in Portland, and they'll have some political clout there to back them up. U.S. Senator and two-time presidential candidate Bernie Sanders from Vermont. Now, Sanders is in the middle of a nationwide tour campaigning with local candidates as part of what he's calling his Fight Oligarchy tour. Last night, Plattner and Jackson appeared at the UMaine Collins Center for the Arts, and hundreds of people came to listen. All three speakers criticized the influence of large corporations in politics and called for higher taxes on billionaires. Jackson and Plattner focused their message on working-class Mainers, reaffirming their support for unions, universal health care, and increased funding for public schools. Sanders suggested that the growing influence of wealthy companies is driving an affordability crisis across the country.
It's not only Trump that is trying to undermine American democracy. It is all of these billionaires and their super PACs who want to own and control the United States Congress. We cannot allow that to happen.
Our taxpayer dollars can build schools and hospitals in America and not bombs to destroy them in Gaza and Iran.
And what little time we have is being stolen by an oligarchy who see our lives, who see us as nothing more than a commodity, an opportunity to monetize.
Tonight's rally is at 7 at Thompson's Point in Portland. Our political brew host, Phil Hirschkorn, will have a recap later this evening.
Of course, a number of other candidates are out campaigning as well. Republican gubernatorial candidate Jonathan Bush held a town hall at Portland's VFW yesterday. Our Drew Peters has the details.
It's got to be someone who's an outsider who doesn't need the insiders ever.
Republican gubernatorial candidate, CEO, and veteran Jonathan Bush inviting fellow vets and members of the public into the Portland VFW for a town hall meeting.
The fact that anyone, no matter who they are or where they've been, is just as likely to be a contributor is something that I first got out of the Army.
Highlighting his criticisms.
You can't be the number 3 highest tax load state in the country and be the 5th poorest state in the country.
And solutions to what he sees as a bloated state budget deterring industry growth.
You cut your taxes, you shrink your bureaucracy, make it an easier place to do business, and then you recruit some businesses. Now the revenues go back up, you can shrink your taxes again.
Laying out policy plans and taking questions.
Where specifically do you feel there's waste and abuse in the particular programs?
So we've now got $40 million worth of suspect, looks a lot like total fraud in our Maine Care system. So the biggest program that needs a shakedown is Maine Care.
The topics surrounding alleged fraud and the transgender sports ballot initiative that could be ruled invalid by the Secretary of State.
Mainers want this. It should be on the ballot and it should be voted on. And if they don't want it, they'll vote against it.
Veterans.
So property tax relief for military veterans.
Also asking questions and sharing what struggles they're facing with receiving benefits.
The vast majority of veterans aren't getting those kind of services, and there's really a cliff that falls off from being 100% disabled and having a full retirement from the military.
And while the VFW doesn't endorse a specific candidate, they say it's important to give vets and community members a chance to meet them face to face.
People talking to people versus just reading something on the internet and the outrage machine that's the internet. So.
All right, that was our Drew Peters with that report. Now, the Portland VFW says it also recently hosted Democratic U.S. Senate candidate Graham Plattner. They invite any other political candidates to use the space for town halls.
The Moosehead Marine Museum is celebrating the preservation of its historic steamboat, Katahdin. At an open house yesterday, officials with the nonprofit announced they received a grant of more than $100,000. That brings the museum to about 80% of its $2 million goal. Fundraising efforts for the ship started in 2022 to help replace deteriorating wooden parts of the ship and sandblast the hull. Organizers say restoration is vital to keeping the Katahdin on the water for years to come.
She is a treasure for this area. She's a working vessel. She's been working for 112 years. She's a piece of living history, and I would invite everybody to come up and take a ride.
Another $200 is still needed to complete the capital campaign. If you're interested in helping out, more information can be found on the museum's website.